Okay, Mario once again. It's in the morning. Uh, I got this running yesterday. Finally was able to make the connections, to the those hoverboard motors, and I got it running. But I have a couple issues here with this car. The one is mechanical, and that's my steering. My steering is because this is all homemade. I mean, I made the brackets from conduit. Just press them and kind of bend it. uh, they're not as good as something that you would weld, like a C bracket that you would weld. It's a C bracket. It's a lot more rigid, or maybe a bracket that's just one piece, machine from maybe aluminum or even steel. So I'm going to be changing that, or that's one option. Or my angle here is a little bit off. When I drill this with the weight that as we're sitting here, this got a little bit bent. I mean, that C bracket's pretty strong the way I did it. It's got bearings, my own bearings there, my own way of doing bearings there with some nylon bushings, and but it is it got a little bit skewed, and I believe it's because of this bolt right here that's holding this maker pipe connector. This is all done by the way with conduit and maker pipe connector. It's a very nice setup here. It's a very quick and clean way to do this with these brackets, with these maker pipe connectors. I really love these connectors, and kudos to Maker Pipe. Once again, I mean, I can't say enough about these connectors because I use them in everything that I can think of that requires a pipe and some kind of a connector, to build canopies, to build structures, to build shelving. I mean, a go-kart, that is a little more elaborate, and I'm not the only one that has done stuff like this. I don't think there's another gentleman that built a go-kart as well, and so I but the way this is done, I am going to be I'm going to be working a little more on this, just to have this more in line. This right now has a little tilt angle this way, and it's a little pitch and toe. So I'm going to be fixing that. That's one issue. Mechanical is not a big thing. This is also has a little bit of a squeaking sound, and it's because of this bracket here. That's once again, this is done with a PVC tubing. The conduits just run through an inside PVC tubing. I should have used some kind of a nylon bush in here, so that's something else that I'm going to be working on. Of course, the throttle has to be attached to the somehow here because it's just dangling right now. It just did that quick. The back of this control system here, we burned these witches here. They're no longer latching. So, and I did smell something that smelled like burnt wires or burnt resistance. So I'm going to be taking this out as soon as I do this video and see what's going on. My take is that we were pulling too much current through the switch here, and even though the fuses are just fine, this has dual fuses. These adapters here for the Ryobi 18-volt battery packs. These switches cannot hold that current, that we were pulling here. So the switch was the first to go because this is the weakest point here. Instead of blowing the fuse, is fine. So these switches here are. I'm just going to be replacing these with better switches. I don't know what the current rating is on these switches here, but I do have some similar ones that have a much higher rating, or various ratings, I should say. The connections here is we can see here I've been kind of labeling everything so that it's easier to just identify them and connect them. This has a lot of connections here for brakes, for lights, for reverse, for for things of that nature. And by the way, this does have a panel. I've shown that in previous videos. My control panel that I did this, it's got a bunch of switches, buttons, and lights. So I'll be doing that at a later time. I don't need it right now. Right now I'm just testing it for make sure it runs good. These motors, as I said before, are the brushless motors that come out from hoverboards. You know, those hoverboards that people stand on. You know, just a dual wheel hoverboards that have stabilizers. So I taken just the motors out, and I went and bought myself a couple of these bicycle hubs to do this type of setup here, because there was no way for me to connect these hoverboard motors directly to the shaft here. I mean, I could have put one of these directly to the wheel. That would have been another option here, and I did do that by drilling some extra holes here. As you can see, these delta holes here, they were done so that I could go directly into the motor here. But the problem was that these motors do not have enough, do not have space inside between the winding and the aluminum case. So I couldn't put a thick enough bolt there to support the wheel. And so I ended up doing this instead, going with these plates here, with these sprocket plates, and just go with a chain, the 1-to-1 ratio, because these are you know, the hoverboard motors, they are 1-to-1. They're directly connected to the wheel, so there's no need for gearing here. I could experiment with a little bit of gearing, like maybe a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 ratio, just to give me a little more, you know, more speed. But I like the torque of these motors the way they are, and so I decided to keep it 1-to-1. Other than that, I have this stored outside. I live in Arizona here, but the weather has been up to this point, it's been very cool and damp, and you know, we've had quite a bit of rain. And so even though this was outside cover, you know, it tends to pick up moisture, and so these parts got a little rusted here, or rusty. These are steel plates, the really thick plates that grab onto the shafts of the motors here. So I'm going to be brushing this out and just cleaning this out. The chains also got a little bit of rust in there, and then which is something that I don't like. You know, I can't stand rusted parts. So I'm going to be cleaning that just for my peace of mind here. This, my son-in-law was running this also with my, he was here on this thing, and he's a lot bigger than I am, much more weight, and he had my grandson here, so he was running it for the first run with the dual batteries here. And then when I came on and I tried running, you know, we had worn out these we blew these switches here. But anyway, this he was pointing to me, this chain here is a little bit loose, so I'm going to have to adjust this by adjusting the location of this motor here via these two big, huge bolts here that support via washers this whole assembly here. So this whole assembly can be shifted back. So I'm going to be adjusting that to tighten this chain drive so it's not loose. These are also, once again, part of the bicycle wheel hub that I bought to allow me to establish this chain connection here, but to also give me a point of where I can put a brake, you know, just a disc brake. So this does have disc brakes that I have to connect to somehow to the frame. I do have the disc brakes in my shed, and it's something that needs to be added here, although that would be a mechanical brake. Although this also has braking here. The speed controllers do have braking, electronic braking, that I can trigger, you know, from the control panel, which sits inside this unit here. This is my control panel, and it's inside my work area here that I've been you know, where I assemble these things and I test this. But this is another hoverboard. You know, you can see this is a much more much smaller wheelbase hoverboard. This is for maybe a small kid. But I use this, you know, to test my electronics. Here's the schematic to the electronics. Basically, it's an old sheet. It's gotten a little messed up here, but I did this when I first did my go-kart, another go-kart that I did many years ago that I also show in my YouTube videos, a more compact one, not as elaborate as the one I'm showing in this video, but it was another one that I did kind of quick with telescopic squirt steel tubing. So go check out that video. But this is the schematic that I did back then, and this is the control from that one there. Dual controls as well, you know, with the my own connectors there. And so I had to take this out and kind of go over it just to make sure that I remember, you know, where all these connections were, because unfortunately, these controllers that you buy from Amazon or maybe eBay, I think I got these from eBay. They're nice controllers, but they don't come with English instructions, and so you have to, and all that naming convention here is done in Chinese, and you have to figure that out. So I had to figure this out kind of by just kind of reverse engineering this unit here. You know, the main power is real easy to identify because, you know, it's you can see it's got the thicker wires there. But the other stuff was a little tricky to identify. Of course, the motors also are easy to identify these because there's only three similar connectors on these hoverboard motor leads, and also the sensor, you know, for the hoverboard motors, the Hall sensors. So those are easy to identify, but the rest is, you know, it's kind of like a trial and error think. Trial and error thing, not think. It's early morning breakfast, and this is my control panel. As I was saying here, this one has a lot of switches. Got 3 speeds here. You can go one, middle sections, mid, high. These are LEDs to indicator LEDs to indicate the speed. This has a horn here, beep beep beep, which I have to install. Not that we're going to be using that right away, but it's more for little kids, you know, if they get on this thing they can play around with. This has high brake, low brake. This has full lights on. This has blinkers, and I believe there's also a left and right blinkers here. They are going to be lights at the back, at the rear of the back, just to, you know, if you're riding this with the you know, in front or by the in a park, you know, or even by the sidewalk, you know, you can signal left and right, left and right. So it's a, you know, it's a nice control panel. It's got the voltage and amperage readout here, as well as a USB charging port right here, dual part charging port here. If you want to carry your phone, you know, you can charge that, or you can put it right here, turn on music or whatever. Main switch on and off. So I have to connect this to the I have to connect this to the go-kart. So I'll probably be doing this weekend, because I mean, I'm pretty much there already. It's just I need to make the car harnesses, because this is all connected by harness with connectors. So to ease the not only the connection, but to ease you know, troubleshooting, if I need to remove something, I can just disconnect that, and nothing is hardwired here. These connectors have these tabs here, which allow for those spade type connectors, you know, to plug in, which is really nice. You know, if you want to service something, you just unplug that. Except for the LEDs. The LEDs are going to have to be soldered and hardwired to their own connectors there. So anyway, this is the control panel for this go-kart here. Yeah, I wanted to capture this on video again. Interestingly, I was ready to run this yesterday. I had you know, everything connected, and then when I was putting the air on these tires, this one was fizzing. It's like I heard this noise come on, like, oh man, now I have to take out the tire. So it wasn't too bad. I took it out and I pulled out the inner tube, and sure enough, the inner tube had a couple little holes there. Luckily, I keep materials, all kinds of materials in my shed. So I had a strip of an old bicycle tube. So I cut a piece of that, just a rectangular piece, 1 by 1.5, and then I had contact cement, and I sanded the surfaces of the rubber piece that I got from that bicycle tube, and I sanded the tube here for this tire. I sanded it and I cleaned it with alcohol. I put some contact cement, let that dry, and sealed it that way. Patched those two holes, and it's been holding really, really well that way. It's very similar to the way we used to repair bikes. If you're old enough to remember that. Nowadays, I don't think kids do that, because these bikes, I don't even think the bikes come with tube. They're tubeless tires. So back in the old day, when you were running your bike, you carried this little repair kit, and if you had a flat, you took it out and you could repair that on the road and keep going with it. So I'm from those times, and so that's how we did these things. But yeah, it's a fun little go-kart. Uh, and especially if you can do stuff like this with these motors here, you repurpose these motors, and that was my point with this whole go-kart. The whole go-kart is designed around the motors and not the other way around. I didn't make the go-kart and then design the motors around the go-kart. So it's designed around you got to start with what type of motors you want to use on that, what kind of engine, what kind of power that's going to deliver, and then you build a go-kart around. At least that's the way I approach this. I build a go-kart around this. This is a little bit tight, when I sit here, because it's a go-kart. Go-karts are kind of compact, So when I sit here, and I put my feet up, you can see that my legs. This steering wheel sits right between my knees here, and if you're any taller than what I am, the only way to get around that is to this has gotten a little messed up here. I'm gonna have to clean that. If you're any taller than I am, I'm 5'11". The only way to make that adjustment is to either relocate the seat here, these brackets here, relocate that back, but then I would have to shorten this out, or I would have to shorten these bars out, these braces here. This is just to provide bracing for the back, so so you have a good rest there. You want that solid, you don't want this flimsy, and basically that whole horizontal bar would have to be relocated backwards. Either that's one way to do that, or keep the seat where it's at, and relocate this footrest here, which means that once again I would have to relocate. This is a little more trickier because this bar right here sits on these angles here, on these angles from these bars right here. So this would have to be either relocated here to this side here, or put it over here somehow on this bar right there, and make that shorter. So support for here. So this is a brace for the feet, and is similar to the brace in the back. This right here, this is also my own custom T bracket here for these ball links. The only thing bought here that's commercial, besides the maker pipe connectors, and of course this is, I guess you can call this commercial too. This the materials here, the conduit, are these ball links here. I bought this from McMaster ball links, but pretty much everything else, all these mechanical brackets and connectors. This I could not do it with. I guess I could have done this with one of these connectors, but I chose to use this because I could get some way of a bearing, plastic bearing inside there. But even so, this is squeaking here. So as I was saying, I am going to remove this, and I'm probably going to put some nylon bushings there, so it's a lot easier for this to, not easier so much, because this does have a little bit of, it's not really fluid, but it does have a little resistance there. But this, if this goes through nylon bushings, and I do have some nylon bushings that I could use there, the size of this conduit, it would be a lot, you won't hear that squeaking there. Or maybe if I grease that, put some lithium grease. I have lithium grease, but it's black. I don't like that because it's nasty black. It gets dirty. It looks like dirt, when it starts wearing out. So I could put maybe some white lithium grease through there, or just remove this and make a kind of a C, not a C, but a clamping bearing T bracket here. So I may do that. Just make a T, clamping one, similar to these connectors, like I was saying, or maybe I can modify one of these and use it there. Anyway, once again, I love these. I love these maker pipe connectors, and I bought a lot more of those that I still have to do canopies, and I was planning on doing one of the old mopeds, out of connectors. So that's something else that it's on my to-dos. Also, maybe just make my own scooter, just with T connectors. It's very similar to the way this is done. So anyway, this is my go-kart, electric go-kart. This is Mario once again with my microflight, and you can stay tuned for more stuff here. I've been working on various projects, but this is one of them. Thanks for watching.